Well, good morning, church. Welcome to Foyer Talk, take 4 this morning. This morning, I am coming to you, and I'm going to take this opportunity to confess something to you. The confession is this, that the thing I am most fearful of in this season right now is that my heart will be compromised. More than I am fearful that I will become sick, that I will contract the virus, I am fearful that because of the powerlessness and the frustration and the confusion and the inconvenience that is beginning to more and more encroach upon my life, my heart is going to go south. My heart is going to go sour. My heart will become hardened and will be compromised in relation to the care that I ought to be giving for the world. The Proverb chapter 4, verse 23 says this, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Another version says it this way, "Guard your heart above all else, for it is the source of life." So the recommendation from the Proverbs is that we guard our hearts more than we wash our hands, and we are certainly washing our hands these days, right? The recommendation of the proverb is that we guard our hearts more than we make sure we are socially distancing ourselves from the people who are in our vicinity. And this is the right thing to do and the wise thing to do. But Proverbs chapter 4, 23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart." Guard your hearts, because only guarded hearts can serve. Only guarded hearts can joyfully care for others rather than insist that they be cared for and they be served. It was about 2 weeks ago that I was thinking about my heart as I was driving home from church, and right there on Lancaster Pike, I came up with a diagnostic question to help me gauge the trajectory of my heart in the middle of what then and what continues to be now a whole lot of noise. A whole lot of noise coming towards you and me from every possible source, from every possible arena, from every possible direction. These voices demand to be heard and insist on being complied with. And so right there, I came up with this question and I offer it up to you. The question I began to ask myself is this: am I more brokenhearted over the physical harm and the emotional distress that this virus is producing than I am frustrated by the way that it's inconveniencing my life? Am I more brokenhearted over the physical harm and the emotional distress that this virus is producing than I am angered by those that I perceive to be unwise in their downplaying of the virus? Am I more brokenhearted over the physical harm and the emotional distress that this virus is producing than I am angered by those who I believe are unhelpful in their hyping and exaggeration of it? And so, to the extent that this question will help you guard your heart in this season, I invite you to adopt it and to adapt it so that your heart, along with mine, would be zealously guarded. Guarded to this end, that you and I would be empowered to sacrificially care for others. That you and I would be positioned to sacrificially serve others in their need. For only a guarded heart, loved ones, I believe this with all my heart, that only a guarded heart can be helpful and hopeful and encouraged to the point that we willingly care for others more than we look after our own good. Unguarded hearts drift towards selfishness, drift towards fear, and drift towards corruption. Guard your hearts above all things, for it is the source of life. Above all things, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from your heart. In my reading this morning, I came across this prayer. It was written by Ezekiel Hopkins, who was a 17th century Anglican bishop from Ireland. Today, I am taking his prayer and I'm making it ours. Lord, here is a heart that I strive to make and keep void of offense. Please fill this heart with your promised grace and spirit. Of course, my heart is not a mansion pure enough for the pure and holy God, Even so, will you accept it and dwell here? There are still many hidden corruptions, but search them out. And you, who have kept your servant from obvious sin, would you also cleanse me from secret faults? Lord, I am blind and ignorant, and I cannot see through the consequences. Things that I think are for my advantage may prove to be a snare and a curse. But in your infinite wisdom, you know everything. So I resign my choice to you. Choose for me, and however your providence will order my affairs, make me then as thankful for disappointment as I ought to be for success. Lord, your word has taught me many mysteries which my weak and short-sighted reason cannot comprehend. But I desire to sit at your feet. Your word will shape my outlook, and this I understand. You, who are very truth, can neither deceive nor be deceived. So I find infinitely more reason to believe anything you tell me than to disbelieve it, even if it seems impossible. Since you have spoken it, I fully assent, and I deliver up all the cheeky imprudence of my reason to be chastised and tutored by faith in you. Amen. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. God bless.